Hey y'all, it's Amanda. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to talk about the books I read in May. Alright y'all, so we are here to talk about the books I read in May, like 4 and 5 star May. Like, I think I had a couple 3 stars, but overall, this month had so many 4 and 5 stars. So, like, birthday month, Southern Charm Readathon month, all the good things. It was just the greatest reading month as far as, like, the quality of the books I read. So, I'm so excited to talk about the books that I read for the readathon, those that were outside of the readathon. How am I getting along with the reading challenges for the year, that kind of stuff. So, before we get into what I read, though, let's first and foremost say, thank you. Thank you so much to everyone who participated in the Southern Charm Readathon. I have loved seeing all of your bingo boards and everything. I would love to hear about what you read for the readathon in the comments if you want to chat about that below. Thank you so much for those who participated, and I especially want to give a special thank you to my co-hosts. Thank you so much to Taylor, Alicia, Oshina, Lindsay, Teresa, and Sky. I just love you guys so much, and I really appreciate your support in helping in the readathon, and Tay doing those sprints was so much fun. I just loved the trivia and everything that she put together. It's the best time to have just the greatest fellowship for the readathon this month in those sprints. If you've not seen those, I will link that down below because there's a whole hour where we're just talking about like Southern things and trivia and fun. So yeah, definitely check that out with a couple 30-minute reading sprints if you're interested. But I just really appreciate you ladies for doing posts and videos and, you know, putting up the bingo board and letting people know about the readathon. I really appreciate it. So yeah, we are going to come back next year, you guys. I know a lot of y'all have been asking, are we going to do it again? Yes. Okay. This is an annual thing. For my birthday month, we will always do the Southern Charm Readathon as long as I can. Okay. So the good Lord willing, we coming back. Okay. All right, y'all, I had to move some things around, but first let's talk about in my reading journal kind of where I'm at with the reading challenges, and then we'll get into actually what I read for each, what am I saying, each? I guess I was going to say that. Then we'll get into what I read for each prompt for the Southern Charm Readathon. There we go. Okay, trying to get the words out. Okay, so for the reading challenges, we have got Katie's Read Around the World-a-thon, and for Set in a Place You Have Lived, I actually filled that prompt in April, and that was The Roads We Follow by Nicole Deese, because that actually had a setting of Tennessee in there, so love that. Jeanette at Jane Reads, her Christian fiction challenge. For May, it was a one-word title, and I'm looking on here, and I actually didn't have any one-word titles for this month. So she has like this bonus prompt that like if a monthly prompt doesn't work for you, you can switch it out. So I did Nancy Mehl because she's a favorite author. So for that, I had Nancy Mehl Mind Games. Okay, we'll talk about that in this video. And then for Oshina's Christian Romance Reading Challenge, I'm getting close, y'all. Getting close. I need a recommendation for the rainbow cover. Let me know, okay? If you got any kind of Christian romance that's kind of got like a rainbow cover, a lot of, not necessarily rainbow, but I guess it could be like multicolor. Let me know. I'll have to look at my shelves. But for this month, I did fulfill Wanted to Read, and that was the Shadows of Swanford Abbey by Julie Klassen. So we will talk about that, okay? For Chantel's Read Your Bookshelf Challenge, this month was a new author, and because I'm on the dual path, and the author that I owned on my shelves was What the Wind Knows by Amy Harmon, and we'll also talk about that in this video. So that's everything on the reading challenges, so let's talk about the books. The book I read this month was Land of Silence by Tessa Afshar. This worked for the prompt of Hot as Blue Blazes, a book with a hot setting. I gave this 5 stars. And this one, y'all, I have an entire dedicated reading vlog for this book. If you've not seen that, I will link it down below. But I really felt like at that time that I had found the favorite book of the year. Okay, this was very compelling, transformative, beautiful, very encouraging, faith-filled, all those things. It's a very heartfelt novel, and it just really explores the power of healing, faith, redemption, and the storytelling in this was very well done. We have great characters in this. It's a must-read for anyone who loves biblical fiction, and in this we really see this courage, this transformation, healing through Jesus, and I just loved Eliana's story and character in this. So this is the biblical fiction story that is centered all around the woman who bled for 12 years. amazes me that we had just 2 to 3 sentences about her in the Bible, and Tessa Afshar was able to have a fully fleshed out story about this woman, and really, this book encouraged my faith. This would be definitely one that encouraged my faith. Tessa Afshar gave her a name of Eliana in this story, fictional story, and so we see Eliana go through tragedy after tragedy in this book, yet her faith remains strong in God. And at one point, she says she's bled for 11 years, and it hasn't been that bad, she says, because it brought her closer to the Lord. That was profound to me. Like, all the grumbling that I do myself because of life's little inconveniences, and this woman says she hasn't gone through that much. Like, what? Okay. And even though she went through it, yet it brought her closer to the Lord. She was happy about that. She would not give it up for anything, she says. I'm inspired by her. I'm inspired by this story. So I highly recommend this for anyone who is looking for a beautiful story where the character just truly comes to life. The setting is coming to life. The family that's explored in this, forgiveness, healing, restoration, resilience, all those words, it's in this book. So this book is definitely going to stick with me for a very long time. This book I picked up was actually the Protagonist Pub Book Club pick, What the Wind Knows by Harmon. And I put this on my free space on my bingo board for the readathon. You did not have to read anything for the free space. That's just like given to you. But if you had an extra book, you felt free to like put that in there, that's fine. It's no big deal. But if you didn't put anything in there, that's fine too. Okay, I wasn't policing nobody's board. But I did put this on my bingo board just because it was an extra book. Okay. And I ended up giving this 3 stars, and this was the first Amy Harmon book that I read. I started this book, and honestly, for the first 50%, I was loving it, okay? It was giving this 5-star level. Unfortunately, it kind of fell flat for me around chapter 15, 16. Okay, let me just say this. I love her writing style, and she can really tell you a story. Like, I wanted to keep reading, right? It kept me interested. I wanted to know what happened next. And I own several of Amy's books, and I still plan to read them, right? I think I'm going to enjoy her other books. I'm not saying that. I think that this one just wasn't for me personally. I think that she still has some really wonderful stories to tell. I'll say that. But let me just explain like what I liked and what I didn't like. That's probably the best way to do this. So this story is all about Anne, and she was in the year 2001, and she's heartbroken by her grandfather's death. And so she travels to his childhood home to spread his ashes, which is in Ireland. And so right when she's about to do this, she is pulled back to 1921. So this is a time travel story in 1921 Ireland. Her grandfather is a very young boy during this time. So she looks so much like her grandfather's mother. And so they mistake her for his mother. Okay, I'm trying to explain this the right way. Grandfather's parents have actually been killed from what everyone has understood, but yet she looks just like his mother who's been missing for many years. And so Thomas Smith, he is the guardian of her grandfather at the time because his parents have been disappeared, killed, whatever. They're presumed dead at this point. And so people are thinking that Anne, which is the same name as his mother, has returned. Okay, keep tracking with me here. So she is basically thrown in 1921 from the year 2001 to be her grandfather's, oh my gosh, her grandfather's mother. Okay, I can't talk in this is one of them days. But in 1921. So she basically adopts this identity to try to figure out her next step. And the story just goes on from here. Here's what I liked and didn't like. I, again, like the writing and the plot itself. I love a good time travel story. You already know. The writing here is very lyrical, and I would consider it very beautiful storytelling. The setting, I love a good setting in Ireland. The first 50%, like I said, we're seeing so much of Anne just trying to maneuver this new life in this new time. That was cool. I liked Anne as an author. You know, the stories that she was telling about her grandfather, you know, were very precious to me. I didn't have a grandfather to myself. Really love stories that have a grandfather storyline, right? Of course, I really enjoyed learning about Ireland's history and the war details. But here's what I didn't enjoy. There is a romance in this, okay? And I want to be very transparent with you about this. There is a romance. I'm putting quotations over that, okay? I don't know why there's romance. I'm sorry. But I was just frustrated personally with Thomas and Anne. They have this sudden romance that kind of jumped from him not being, he first of all, he's like, who is this girl? He kind of suspects her of things, kind of thinks she's a spy, and he's not really sure about her, right? It jumps from like this to him realizing kind of more about her, I'll say, and then they're having sex. What? Like, I was like, what are you doing? This did not build up enough personally to have a romance for them to have sex. Like, I don't understand. Very weird. And so, the other thing I didn't like was the sex scenes. There are 2 sex scenes in this, and they are open door. So immediately I was like, if I'd known that, I probably would not have went into this. The way she worded it was not explicit, but it's those flowery descriptions explaining the act of it, basically. So to me, it was a bit much for my personal taste. Just take me with a grain of salt, because that's going to be different for every person. I didn't really care for that. I was like, this is a bit much. So yeah, take that for what you will. The third thing I didn't love about this, and I think I'm spoiled by Gabrielle Meyer. Gabrielle Meyer. I am spoiled by her because she has this great essence of telling the time travel aspect. Like, she explains how her time travel works, how it works, okay, in her stories. All the things. Well, the problem I have with this is because there's not a lot of explanation personally of how the time travel works. Like, can anyone just time travel? I still don't know. Do you think about somebody in a certain time to know where you're going? Is it like steering? You know, I mean, do you have to have an item that they owned? How do you get to a certain year? Is it a certain place, country, like at the lake? It seemed like the lake, like anytime they veered out to this lake, it's like they slipped into time, which was pretty cool. Like the way the transition into following through time was actually pretty neat. But that's a pet peeve of mine in any time travel story. I need the details, fully fleshed out time travel details, so I can fully understand it to the best of my ability. So that is part of it. The other thing is I didn't understand a few points of the timeline themselves and how it all was planned out. So there were some things I got confused about. So yeah, the time travel itself was bothersome. And then Anne was trying to change things, and I don't like that in time travel. One of the things that Gabrielle Meyer does in her books is her time travel element is you're not able to change the future. You're not able to, or the past, or any of that stuff. Like, if you change or make an effort to try to change things in your time, you forfeit the timeline. That's the whole point of, like, the whole series is, you know, you can't change anything. Your knowledge, you can't change it, right? And so Anne in this book is trying to change things, and she's revealing things to people in the past about the future. And that's just a personal pet peeve of mine in time travel. Again, take that for what you will, you know. So it's just the mechanics of the time travel bother me. And Anne continuing to try and reveal things frustrated me. So there you go. And then there's something at the very end of this that I did not like at all, that I can't say because it's a spoiler. But it reminded me of Outlander in many ways. Not in the explicit way, but just like the plots and the tropes and all that stuff. And I was like, girl, what are you doing? So yeah, overall though, like, again, not bashing this book really, or anybody who likes this book or this author. I gave it 3 stars because of the things I enjoyed. But then the other things are just like, that really brought 2 stars out, right? It just brought it down 2 stars. So I've talked about this enough. That's my thoughts. You know, I still think that Amy Harmon will be an author I'm going to check out. A lot of y'all have said she's great. So again, this is just a personal thing. I'm not really into it. I think the time travel aspect is just, you know, a very personal thing for me. So again, and that's just why I didn't really care for it and gave it 3 stars. The next book I read was Loyally Luke by Pepper Basham. Now, this was not for the readathon. This is just an extra book I read this month, and I had an advanced reader copy on my tablet, and so I got my pre-order copy in. So really excited about that. I actually love the pre-order copy because it comes with like this really cute book plate. So love that. But this is well, let me just first say, this is book 3 in the Scamar series. Book 1 is Positively Penelope. Book 2, oh my gosh, y'all. Book 1 is Authentically Izzy. Book 2 is Positively Penelope. And then this is book 3. Personally, while you can read this as a standalone, I think it's best if you start with book 1. That's just my personal thing. But you can read this as a standalone. I just think you get the best experience if you start from the first one, because there's all these other characters in here that you follow throughout the whole series, right? And Luke is actually in book 1 and 2 some, right? So, yeah. But this is a clean romance, very sweet ending. It had this secret royal princess. He's a Southern handyman, okay? All laugh out loud moments, okay? We have this great family dynamic, of course. You know, you have all these different text messages and things like that in here, but it's not a lot of that, actually. This is more like narrative than the epistolary stuff, where it's like the emails and text messages, because Luke's not a guy who does that a lot, so that made sense for his story. So if you're not really someone who is into the epistolary style, then you might want to just pick this one up, because there's like hardly any of that in here. So I thought I'd mention that too. But I still think I really like all 3 of them. You know, like it's a 5-star series, okay? But this entire series has just been such a comfort read for me. I think this could have been a comfort read for the readathon. There's a lot of nerdy book and movie references in this as well. And the setting is kind of like a Scotland vibe, okay? But it's the island of Scamar, okay? It really reminded me of my dad, my brother, all of those things, hilarious. Like this southern handyman, and he's finding love in this story with a Skamarian princess, but he don't know she a princess. So that's the whole plot, basically, okay? A lot of these fun, like, romance tropes that are, like, jokes throughout here, because, like, literally the first introduction to this was so funny. It says, don't read this book. It's embarrassing and private. I have a feeling my youngest sister has paid some sort of homage to... Is that how you say that in a word? Oh my gosh. To the Hallmark Pixies. And they've turned my world into an ooey gooey magical snow globe of romantic tropes. I just thought it was cute. You know, like there's all this mentions of like, you know, these different tropes and things, and the sisters and stuff, they're in here, and it's just funny. And so, yeah, he's like this grumpy guy, and she's just so much fun, and I just really liked it. You know, he's helping her basically with his, like, construction stuff he does. But I love the sibling relationship because I have a very close relationship with my brother, so that reminded me of that. I do think I would have liked to see more details of Luke, like, with the children, and details, like, with the orphans and stuff in this. They are working together to restore this castle-like orphanage, and so I kind of would like to see more of those details and that explained a little bit more further, but either way, I still gave this 4.5 stars. Really enjoyed it. I think if you love that like heartwarming, humorous, sweet rom-com, this is it. This one actually had some light faith elements in here as well, so that was really nice to see. I do think that the audiobook is really great with a really great cast of narrators. I did listen a little bit to the audiobook because I finished this, I think maybe a couple days after it came out, and I did listen a little bit to the audiobook, but also read it on my tablet. So, and then I got my pre-order in. So, yeah, I always pre-order Pepper's books. Y'all, this video, I absolutely love this book. So yeah, check this series out, you guys. I will continue to gush about it forever. Next is book 3 in the Getting Shipped series by Savannah Scott, and that is Townshipped. And y'all, this was for the Chicken and Dumplings prompt, a comfort read, and yes, it was a comfort read, okay? I cannot wait to read more in this series, and I'm just loving Savannah's books. Y'all, they are so cute. I mean, in this one, we have got this amnesia trope. She's a bride on the run, and like she breaks up basically with her fiance, and so she's like going to her honeymoon on her own, and it's in a car accident, and so she's in this little town of Bordeaux, okay? You all know Bordeaux, okay? The little town that's been in this series the whole time, okay? And she ends up meeting Aiden, and I absolutely love this. He was the sweetest guy. You guys, he was the best caretaker. Hometown hero. I loved him. Her name is Mallory, but she can't remember her name. And so they call her M. She can only remember the letter M. So M is like the perfect match for him. And Aiden's helping her recover from this accident. He's got this little goat farm. It is super cute, okay? This book is going to make you laugh and swoon, okay? Left and right, because we had so many funny scenes. And the characters and I'm telling y'all, the characters in this series feel like real people. That you love them. I don't know. There's something about the characters. In my opinion, they are real people, okay? The more I read this series, the more I get to love and know these characters. They're great. And so I just wish it was real. Okay. But if you really want like a good, clean rom-com series, found family and friendship, a small town, the fun goat farm stuff, like these sweet kids that Aiden is taking care of, he has such a layer to his character. I really liked him. This amnesia trope, and I know that people say, like, the amnesia trope, I love it. It's not always realistic, but it's fun. It's a fun story, okay? They have a lot of swoony midnight kisses, okay? But they're clean. It's clean, okay? I really like her humor. Like, it's one of those lighthearted, fun, fluffy reads you need at the time when you're reading it. That's when you pick this up. So yeah, 5 stars. Who's this we? It's me. Next I read Shadows of Swanford Abbey by Julie Klassen. Now this is a 24 and 2024 book picked by the hubs. Y'all, I'm halfway done with the list. Okay, I'm just going to tell you that right now. I think I'm like 12 out of 24. Okay, we good. Maybe even 13 by now. So look at me go. I did DNF one, but it's fine. But this was one on the list, and I'm so glad that I read Northanger Abbey before I read this. Okay, Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. I read that last year, really enjoyed it. I annotated it and everything, okay? I'm so glad I read that book because this one has like that kind of atmosphere, and it reminded me of like that Jane Austen meets Agatha Christie Regency type story. And so this was very reminiscent of the Northanger Abbey itself. So I really like that. And so just Julie Klassen for me has the best settings in her stories, and this was a really good cozy time for me. I gave it 4 stars. It wasn't like top Julie Klassen for me. Not like A Painter's Daughter or Casper and Cornwall, but I still really enjoyed this and gave it 4 stars. In this story, we follow Rebecca Lane, and she's returning to her home after being away for a few years. And so her brother is begging her for this favor to go to Swanford Abbey to deliver his manuscript to this author so that he can kind of get this published, okay? She agrees to help him, right? But she goes to this grand hotel, which is kind of like what you see here on the cover, known as Swanford Abbey, and it's rumored to be haunted. Honey, what? She starts to see these really strange things and everything going on. She runs into this guy, Sir Frederick, the magistrate, the widower, and former neighbor who broke her heart a long time ago. Girl, the drama. Then we have this famous author who is found murdered in the Abbey, and the mystery kind of goes on from there. Feelings are starting to emerge between her and Sir Frederick. He is trying to kind of figure out who the murderer is. I guess they kind of work together, and that's kind of what happens here, okay? I will say this is slow. I liked it, but it is a bit slow. But it's like a cozy book. Like, it's not one that's meant to be like a fast-paced book. It's just like you're learning about the characters. You're just here for the ride. If it's something you really want to like have fast-paced, that's not going to be this book, but it was still really good. I really liked our characters. You can tell that they are Christians in their faith, and it was nice to see their love story slowly develop in this as they become more than friends. In this, it's like an unrequited second chance love story. So yeah, and I forgot to say, this was for the prompt of All the Fixins, a book in multiple genres for the readathon. The next book I read for the readathon for the prompt of Sweet Tea, a Sweet Story, was Love for a Lifetime by Mandi Blake. I did pick this up after I read the early copy for its launch in May. I ordered it off Amazon as soon as I could because your girl was like, I need this on my shelf because book one is on the shelf. Okay, I got it right here. Love in the Storm. Like, look here. I cannot wait for the next one. I think it comes out in August. Let's go. But okay, so this was so cute. It's just like, it's what I needed. It's the Christian romance cheese I wanted, okay? Now, this is dual point of view. Guy is a police officer, and our main girl is like this farm girl and a nurse. Really nice faith elements in this. It's a clean Christian romance. It's a friends to lovers trope. Characters are Dawson and Olivia. Okay, so this is book 2 in the Love in Blackwater series. Now, this is like one of my new favorite Mandi Blake books right now. What it is, I just love her books. But Dawson was the sweetest guy. He reminds you of like what a godly man looks like, okay? I love this friends to lovers trope because he continued to pursue Olivia, and he falls first. That's the other trope, right? And so he was pursuing her. He was always there for her no matter what. He was a great cinnamon roll main guy, okay? MMC. Okay, MMC, main male character. I'll try to use my acronyms. But in this story, we have Olivia. And so Olivia is this nurse, and she lives to serve others in her community, basically. Like, she's always doing for somebody else, okay? She's doing something for the church, her friends, her family, all that stuff. Okay, and so she works on this farm, and she's helping people, and animals are her passion. So there's a lot of fun animal farm details in this as well. She desperately wants a family of her own. And so one thing about Mandi Blake's characters that I personally enjoy is the layer of depth that you have with them. Like, in this one, she really struggles with endometriosis, and she's worried about that for her future. So we really see her struggling through those emotions and things, and she's not told Dawson about that, okay? Dawson doesn't know that that's something she goes through. It's something she's kept very privately to herself. Dawson, he's cared for her, though, forever. It's his best friend's sister. He's a police officer, and actually one of the first scenes of them is like him pulling her over, and I was cracking up. I was like, I love this. He's always showing up when she needs help, though, in this story. He loves kids. He is bound to make you laugh, and we really see these feelings unfold between them. The problem, now some of y'all may not like this, and I get it, I ain't gonna say, but she wasn't in that. It wasn't like a thing. Like, for me, it wasn't a thing, okay? But Olivia's, the whole like conflict of this book is Olivia's lifelong best friend has a huge crush on Dawson. So Olivia is like, I don't want to hurt my friend because she likes him, honey. Girl, go on. It's fine. It's a crush. It wasn't like anything serious. Like, there's no reason for her to really like him other than have a crush. He has no idea she even feels this way, right? It's like, oh, I know that my friend likes him and like wants to go with him like as a wedding date. There's some wedding for stuff they're going to. And she's like wanting him to be her date, you know, her friend is. And so she feels like obligated to like stay away from Dawson from the very beginning. And so she's trying to like refrain her feelings from Dawson, but honey, we know that ain't gonna work. Okay, so the way it was done was fine. I was fine with it. I mean, it was such like a small thread anyway, so just keep that in mind. But if that's not something you're into, that's fine. But I just really liked their romance together, and the way it was resolved with her best friend was done very well. Facing real problems together, realistic Rita characters, okay? I loved Olivia. I related to how she was just like, felt like she had to be everything for everybody. And the romance in this was like that cute sliced cheese that your girl loves. It wasn't block cheese. It wasn't. And I really like the side characters in this. There's a guy, Gage, and he's kind of like rough around the edges, I'm pretty sure. So if I remember right. So I'm interested to see his character in the next book. So I'm telling y'all, pick up a Mandi Blake. Y'all ain't gonna regret it, okay? The next book I picked up was a impromptu pickup. This wasn't for the readathon or anything, but it is The Widow and the Highlander by Martha Keyes. And I read this in a vlog, I want to say. I'll link it down below. But I really enjoyed this. It's my first Martha Keyes book that I ever picked up, and it will not be my last. I give this 4.5 stars. Of a good Scotland setting. You already know. Look at this cover. Yes, it's giving everything I need. Okay, but this was set in the 1700s. It's a clean historical romance. It did not disappoint. Very charming story. We have one of my favorite tropes in here, marriage of convenience. And it was done very well with these great characters. It's very sweet romance and an engaging storyline. So I read it in less than 1 day. What? So in this, we start off with Christina McKinnon, and she is inheriting the estate from her husband who passed away. There's someone who was next in line that threatens everything, okay? Of course, as there always is when somebody dies, right? There's somebody threatening what she's inherited, basically. But Lachlan Kincaid, he returns to the McKinnon's property to reclaim what was rightfully his. There's something that happened a long time ago, honey. He wants justice served for what happened from the McKinnons betraying his family years ago, okay? And they deprived him of his inheritance. So there's some drama with that, but what he finds when he gets there is more than he thought he was going to find, okay? Him and her, their lives intersect. They have to join forces to achieve what they want together, and during this time, they grow close together. There's marriage of convenience, you know. I do want to continue on in this series and kind of see what happens next, because I feel like some of the characters have their own stories that we could follow. The Scottish details were really nice for me personally, and I think Lachlan was just like the perfect Lachlan, however you say that. He was the perfect guy for her. And I really like to see this because honestly, Christina had this really bad relationship with her previous husband who passed away. So it was really nice to see her get her love story, you know. The only reason this wasn't a 5-star is there's like this thing that happens at the end. If you know what happens at the end, I don't love that when that happens. I don't know. I'm not going to say it. It's a spoiler. But there is something that happens at the end that I wasn't crazy about. But overall, I was fine with it. So, yeah, I gave it 4.5 stars either way. Just because I really liked the story and the setting and the characters. And I really appreciated the clean romance elements in this as well. That was really nice. Now, the next one's one that I keep getting the name of the book wrong. Okay, I like posted my review, had the wrong name in the title. I don't know what I was doing. I keep saying the name for book 1, okay? So, but neither here nor there. This was not for the readathon or anything, but it was just one that I read for review, and it is The Cowboy Who Looked Again by Liz Isaacson. Now, her actual name is Elena Johnson, and she has like different pen names and things. And so this light has just really come in, hasn't it? We've been having some rain during this video, so I feel all glossy. I'm like glossy all of a sudden. What? Okay, anyway. But this is like found family, has brotherly love. It's a clean Christian romance. Cowboy, second chance romance. It has some nice faith content. It's a small town ranch setting. And our main characters are Misty and Lincoln, okay? Book 1 in this was The Cowboy Who Came Home or something like that. So I've been reading these as they come out for review for her. She's asked if I'd like to read them since I enjoy cowboy romance. And I'm like, yeah, sure. If I have time, I try to read them because I enjoy them. They're always a good time. And so this one was really nice to see because Lincoln, he was adopted into the Glover family, and they call him Link. But his parents passed away, so he doesn't feel like he's 100% part of his family, really, you know, and so there's like a layer of depth to see. It was really nice to see his character growth in this as well. Misty is this young single woman who did not want to be married. She was like, I don't want a family. And that's because her past with her mother not being there to take care of them. You know, she's had to help raise her younger brother at a very young age herself. And so that kind of left her with these hard feelings against marriage. And what this is, Misty and Link dated before. Okay, but Misty broke it off before. And now she realizes that she cares for him and second chance at love happens, okay? So yeah, I really liked it. It's what I would say more block cheese than the sliced cheese. Okay, but it was so cute. I gave it 4 stars. You know, I think that it has just a really cute small town. You know, could easily be a Hallmark movie. Okay, Hallmark series. This whole thing could be found family. Like I said, yeah, I really like to see how they were trying to reconnect in their relationship again. Link was really kind, and I loved seeing him praying for her and things like that. And we had this really nice family element between the brothers, Mitch and Link. So yeah, their brotherly love, like I said, it was in here, was very awesome to see. And there's a lot of these side characters. I think we're gonna have more stories to come in this series. I can't remember if there's 4 or 5 coming out in this series, so I'll probably read the next one. Okay, whenever it comes out. I think it's later this year sometime. So yeah, I'm looking forward to their stories. And as a Southern girl, you know, I love good cowboy romance and all the references and stuff. So yeah, book 3, actually I put it in my review over here. I've been looking at my notes. You already know me. I can't remember nothing. But book 3 is Dawson and Caroline's story. So we got another Dawson. So yeah, excited to see kind of what happens next with that one. All right, now, do I have 2 favorite books of the year in this video? Yes. Okay, so favorite book of the year was Land of Silence up until I read this, and now they kind of tied. I really don't even know what's top now. They're like top books for different reasons. So, okay, maybe at the end of the year, I'll just say, look, these both are the number 1. Okay, but For a Lifetime by Gabrielle Meyer. Let me say, I said her name right, girl. Let me just say it. But this is book 3 in the Timeless series. I have a whole vlog with this, with tears, reactions, Telegram updates, all the things in that video. It's going to be linked. You got to check it out. It's spoiler free. There is no spoilers in that video. Okay, just the reactions. So if you've read this book, or when you read this book, go back to that video and say, oh my gosh, there she is. Okay, but if I could give this book 10 stars, I would. That's exactly what I said in my review. And this series has been phenomenal. The faith, the characters, the time travel level of detail and explanations, like I said earlier in this video, is solid in this series. It's very hard to review this without spoilers, so I'm gonna be brief. Can I be brief? I may end up being brief. Am I brief? I don't know. But if you know me, you can say, I'm gonna say it, hands down, best Christian fiction series of all time. Nothing compares. It's just, I'm constantly recommending this series, and so many of you in like the video that Tay did for my birthday said how you have loved this book, that, you know, you got this recommendation from me. So thank you so much for saying that, because I continue to recommend this series. It's definitely one that just has stuck with me for many reasons. But from the moment I read book 1, I knew this was going to be very significant in my reading journey. And so I'm so thankful to Gabrielle for this story, this series. And we're going to get 6 books in the series now, so there's 3 more. What? This series is honestly one that you need to read with friends and talk about, and buddy read with people, all this stuff, because there's so much to talk about. Okay, you don't want to read this alone. I just keep saying that. But anyway, again, I'm not being brief. Okay, but this book really signifies, oh my gosh, signifies God's plan is truly the best one for us. Throughout the entire series, you always see that reminded over and over, how good he really is and how good his plan is, and how his plan is the plan. And he gives us his grace to go through these things. And we have the hope of Christ through every circumstance. And the girls in this book, you see we got 2 sisters. They are named Hope and Grace. And the girls in the Buddy Read chat, Buddy Read this was, by the way, Buddy read this with several of my friends, okay, like 6 ladies, I think. Is it 6 of us? I don't know at this point. Are we up to 7? But reading this with them was the best experience, and that was some of the commentary and discussions we had that they brought up. I didn't catch on to that real quick at all, but they brought that up. That was such a great discussion, and I see that now. It's no mistake that that's their names. I love the significance of their names in the story. Both sisters are relatable in their emotions and what they endure, and all the things. For context, okay, we are in 2 timelines for this time travel story between these 2 twin sisters. They are time crossers between 1692 Salem, Massachusetts, during the Salem witch trials, and then we go to 1912 New York. By the end of a certain birthday, they have to decide what timeline that they want to live in for the rest of their lives. I thought I knew where things were going. I thought I knew. I did see one thing at the beginning, but the rest was I didn't even see it. What? So yeah, there were so many twists and turns. It blew me away. The sister relationship was very moving. I loved how sacrificial they were for one another. As a sister to my younger brother, it was very relatable for me in that regard. I also love the romance interest in this. Luke, I say his name, I can't remember now. Luc and Isaac. I mean, both their characters were top notch. We had all these prayers, support, and the support they had for each sister was just beautiful. Okay, I really recommend taking your time with this, fully immerse yourself in it, process through all of this because it was so great. So yeah, I can't wait for book 4. Book 4 is called Across the Ages. And it comes out in November, I think. I pre-ordered it immediately. It's already been pre-ordered. Okay. And by the way, the prompts. I keep forgetting the prompts. This was for bless your heart, an emotional or heartwarming read because this was an emotional read. Y'all already know. The next book I read was The Road Before Us by Janine Rosche. And I was saying her name wrong in my vlog. I was trying to say Rosche. It's Rosche. Okay. But this is a Christian contemporary fiction story. I read this for review. I gave this 4 stars. It has this road trip. I'm on a road trip kick. You already know. It's this road trip on Route 66. And so from the very beginning of the story, you are invested. Like, there was so much going on. So I have a vlog with this, and I was having a hard time explaining this, but hopefully I do better in this video than I did there. But you're very invested in the characters, their backstories. We have these journeys that they're going through on this road trip. And so the story begins with this character, Jade, and she's in court with her fiance. I kept saying husband. It's her fiance. I did not explain this well. But she's in court with her fiance after realizing that he scammed their financial clients out of millions of dollars, okay, in this huge Ponzi scheme. One of the clients was a huge Hollywood star back in the 60s, okay? Her name was Bernice Benny Aldridge, Benny's adult foster son named Bridger. And he's filming this documentary retracing Benny's 1956 road trip that started this love story with her husband, Paul. Paul is recently deceased. So Benny, Jade, and Bridger go on this road trip together in modern day. And then we have these flashbacks of Jade's life. It's like multiple POVs. So that's what I read this for the readathon, was a book with multiple POVs. Because we see modern day in their travels on Route 66, flashbacks of Jade's life in 2003, and then Benny in 1956. So yeah, that's the whole setup. Jade is reliving this trauma in the 2003 timeline when she was 8 years old because she was kidnapped by her non-custodial father. You're just learning about, like, why was she kidnapped? Why is he on the run with her? All this stuff. And then Benny is experiencing signs of dementia in modern day as she is trying to recount her previous life for this documentary with her deceased husband, Paul, from 1956. And so the story continues on from here. We see this growth, forgiveness, and there's all this history that they're processing in this trip together. And so to me, if you like a good contemporary women's fiction story, road trips, Hollywood stories, in-depth characters who have just went through a lot in their lives, pick this one up. I think that, they went through a lot in this journey. We saw a lot of their past, their hardships in life, how they were going to move on in the future. This book also tackled some harder topics: parental kidnapping, dementia, treatment of POWs, racism, sexual harassment. There's a lot of those things in here. It was done very well, I think. It wasn't anything that triggered me personally, but I just want to mention those things. The author, I think she handled it with grace. Regarding the faith content, there were some good small moments of faith interweaved throughout this story. Gentle, everyday faith, we'll call it. But I personally, there's some parts about yoga. I just wasn't personally a fan of that. That's something personal that I don't really like to see in Christian books, but it was only a couple of things. It did not take away from me too much in the story. So but I want to mention that for y'all because I know y'all have been asked about that before in other books. So it was just a couple times. So it didn't take away from the story itself from me. But either way, anyone looking for a great in-depth, multiple point of view, like contemporary story with a lot to unpack, this is going to be one for you. If you're looking for something like this and a good road trip story, check this one out. Like I said, this was for the prompt. What was the prompt? Multiple POV? Oh, howdy partner. I'm thinking, howdy partner? What's this one? Hey y'all. Howdy partners of friendship and family. Oh my goodness. This was for the prompt of hey y'all, a book with more than one point of view. Next book I read was Mind Games by Nancy Mehl, and this was for the prompt of reading Heavens to Betsy, read a mystery or thriller. Okay, so this is book 1 in the Kaylee Quinn Profiler series, and I loved it. 5 stars. We've had a 4 and 5 star month, I'm telling y'all. Okay, I'm just thrilled with this, okay? But this is a really great start to the Kaylee Quinn series. A lot of y'all were talking about this in the sprints and said, need to read book 2 and 3 ASAP. So I have those already on deck, okay? Actually, someone said, if you read book 2, you need to have book 3 ready. Okay, so FYI. But Kaylee is this character. She's very quirky and unique, and unlike anything I really see in books usually. Several have mentioned that this is a lot like a Criminal Minds with faith content. I've never seen Criminal Minds, but want to mention that for those who like that show and would rather have more of like a Christian version of that in book form. Okay, but all the characters in here were very interesting to me. The suspects, I didn't figure this out up until like the very end. I was like, wait a minute. So the part about her series though, honestly, it's just always the faith elements she interweaves in with like this suspense element. It's just so good. So she just does a really great job. This is probably, I don't know, I've lost count how many I've read, 6, 7, I don't even know. But in this one we have Kaylee Quinn, who's very talented. She is an FBI behavior analyst, and a reporter basically outs her as the daughter of a serial killer. So she's demoted to be a field agent, and she's transferred to St. Louis. And so the same reporter who ruined her career and claims to have this anonymous poem that's predicting a string of murders ending with Kaylee's. What? So the story continues on from here as we are trying to see if this poem is like what's happening, but it ain't fake because people start dying. Not good. And then Kaylee's in danger. Not good. And so there's this guy, as there usually is, Special Agent Noah Hunter. He works with her to help figure out if, what's going on before it's too late for her. And so, yeah, that was the story. It was so good. If you like a good Christian suspense, pick this up. The next book I read was an impromptu read. I started it on the reading sprints for the readathon, and I love this. I loved it. Gave it 5 stars, and it is Are We There Yet by Savannah Scott. This is book 1 in the Love Trippin' series. Gave it 5 stars. Did I say that? I think I did. I don't know. But 5 stars. Again, road trip. If you love a good road trip, I'm going to do a whole book video recommendations on road trip books at some point this summer, so that will be coming. But if you love a good road trip book, pick this up. This is a coming of age story. We've got this slow burn romance, friends to more, best friend's older brother. Yes. Clean rom-com, great friendship story. This no third act breakup. Let's go. Okay. Just small town. They're going from this small town traveling to California. Is that all we need to know? Yes, but am I going to talk more about it? Yes. Okay, in this book, we have 4 friends, and they are in their early 20s traveling in this vintage Volkswagen van across the country on Route 66. We back on Route 66 from their small town of Bordeaux, Ohio to Marbella Island, which is supposed to be California. We saw a few appearances in here as well from some characters from our Getting Shipped series, which I loved because after reading 3 books, I was like, oh, I recognize them. So love that. This was like this really great best friends road trip story with a rom-com elements. Okay. Riley is our main girl, and she has always had a thing for her best friend's older brother, Cameron, and she has kept it a secret for forever, honey. She has his diary and everything, journal, all this stuff. And so these feelings are starting to come up on the forefront on both sides during the trip. I did a whole vlog, I think, with this as well. Did I do a vlog? Was this in my vlog? Yeah, it was. This was also in one of my vlogs. So you probably already heard me gush about it, but I laughed a lot like I do always in her books. And it's just a really great blend of romance and comedy for me. I love how Riley and Cameron actually talk through their feelings and things. There's like a little conflict in the end that was fine. It made sense. And there was no third act breakup with that. So I love that they had a lot of good communication and how things were progressing. And so I really like that. So highly recommend this one. Excited to read book 2 and 3. I am actually going to be on the launch team for her book 4. So it comes out at the end of the month. And can I read book 2 and 3? Like some of the books in my TBR, I don't know if they get read because 2 and 3, it's on deck. I gotta read them because I don't think you have to read these books before you read book 4, but I want to. So yeah, I got a lot of reading to be doing. Okay. Yeah, physical reading, and this is one I physically read because there's no audiobooks for these, but you can see I have like lots of tabs in here as well. So there were some items that I just wanted to tab. I didn't really tab anything individually, but just kind of tabbed up quotes and things I really enjoyed. So yeah, definitely one I'm excited to continue on in this series. Next, you saw me talk about this in a vlog as well, but can I be brief? I don't know. We've got The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and this is a young adult, I don't really know if it's like mystery, but also like riddles and things. So I gave this 3 stars. Okay, look. I love a good story, like a will testament. Who gonna get the money? Love that plot, okay? So I was really excited to pick this up. I buddy read this to my friend Teresa, and I'm really glad we buddy read together because me and her could, like, I felt like I was missing some things. She felt like she was missing some things. We listened to the audiobook on this both, and we were like, wait, what? So, yeah, Chrissy, she was able to kind of come in and help us understand a little bit at the end. But, yeah, so like, I was excited about this when I heard about, like, kind of what it was about. But the book centers around this girl, Avery, and she's a girl who, like, unexpectedly inherits this billionaire's fortune, much to the dismay and bewilderment of his family. The premise is compelling. I'm gonna tell you right now. Like, the premise, I was like, what? But I was a little confused at times. Specifically in the end, I was like, wait. But after I talked to Chrissy, she's read the first 3 books. And I realized you have to read books 2 and 3. Like, this leaves off where, 2 and 3 to figure out what really happens with the whole inheritance and stuff. So you have to really read 1, 2, and 3. So what I liked about this, the plot, I felt it really kept me wanting to read and know what happens next. There's lots of layers of these secrets and puzzles and characters and stuff. And I really liked Avery. I felt like she was relatable, a character you want to root for. The audio narration was very good. It makes you just want to, like, be along for the ride, whatever that is. But what I didn't like so much, I think that for me, the puzzles were confusing. But again, listening versus reading, I don't know. Maybe. I'm giving it benefit of the doubt for that. But there's a lot of this, like, fake language in this book. There's no sexual content that's, like, at all. But as far as, like, the language is weird. It's like, instead of saying the actual F word, they said foxing, fox, instead of the F word. Or instead of saying the B word, they said beach. And so it was just like, at first I kind of laughed about it, but then it was just so repetitive that annoyed me, which it's YA, whatever. I guess it's better than using the actual cuss words, but still, some of the, like, situations they was using it in, I was like, wait a minute. Okay, what? I think this is a good introduction to a YA mystery series with, like, this engaging protagonist and all this stuff. But some parts just kind of fell flat and it wasn't, like, a favorite. So yeah, I don't know if I would continue. I put the audiobook for book 2 on hold. Teresa did too. Me and her both, like, 15, 12 weeks out. If it comes in, we might pick it up. I am going to keep this book, I think, for right now. I may unhaul it. We'll see. It probably will be unhauled, but I own the second book. But this was also a 24 book for the year. So that was the one I checked off the list. So love that. So anyway, this was not for the readathon or anything. This was just like an impromptu. The audio came in. Me and her had it on hold forever. Let's read it, that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm so glad that everybody read this with her because I needed her help. So yeah, and then let's see. The last book I read, well, we at the end, honey. Y'all are getting the content today. Okay, the King Scrolls. Look, do I need to say anything? Look at these tabs. These tabs. Okay, this is The King Scrolls by J.L. Knight, book 2 in the Ilion Chronicles. 5 stars. Was there any doubt? Look, Celestria, I know you love this. Reese, you love this as well. Who else? There's some of y'all love this. Oh my gosh, I can't keep track. But I know them too right off. The top 2 girls come to my mind. Okay, but Chrissy and Teresa and I buddy read book 2. And oh my goodness. Like, what a emotional roller coaster, you guys. Like, woo! I love this. If you've not picked up Resistance, which is book 1, please pick it up. I cannot recommend it enough. It's definitely up there. This is, like, in the top 5 books of the year for me. Like, there's something about her storytelling. It's very skillful. She is, like, there's this deep character development that just shines so brightly in this sequel. It's just a must read. If you like fantasy of any kind, adventure, pick this up. This is a Christian, non-magical fantasy. I know that's very important for some people, so I want to mention that. That's hard to find. And so I highly recommend this. There are 6 books, several novellas. Excited to continue on in the series. It has great biblical allegory, in-depth characters, his found family, dragons. Let's go. Say less, okay? But I tabbed this book up so much. Okay, the way I did my tabs, I don't remember if I showed y'all or not. I think I did. But I had faith, quotes, wow moments, and loved. And so blue was faith and purple was wow. So there's a lot of blue and purple in here because there's so many good faith moments of the allegory to it. And so, yeah, basically this is set in this rich world of Ilion, right? We're diving more into the lives of our characters. We see a lot of new characters and those and creatures, by the way, and in addition to like those coming back into the story from the first book. I really love the different races and creatures of characters and just learning about them. In the back of the book, there is actually a race profiles section, locations and how you pronounce things, because you know I can't say nothing. Dragons, new characters, and returning characters. And so did I reference that several times? I did. It was really helpful to have that. I'm so glad, because I couldn't remember a whole lot of like who was new, who was returning, that kind of stuff, because it'd been a year since I read the first book. But this whole plot revolves basically around the ancient king's scrolls, which is the word of Elam. Elam is allegory to God. The scrolls hold information that could change the course of the kingdom's history and the future and all this stuff. And so the story picks up where Resistance left off. Okay, we see Chiron, Jace, Caden, and many others are hiding from the Emperor Dakan, the bad guy. Events from book 1 led them to this forest, trying to kind of settle in with their new lives and everything, and then the Emperor's threats continue upon them. So dragon riding Creets are a race in the story, and so they are on dragons. What? The dragons, they come in, they need aid for this mission, this very important mission to all followers of Elam, and the story goes on from here, okay? There's a central theme in this of the power of faith. We see the strength in those who have faith in Elam, again, allegory to God, as he is providing the strength to those characters in times of adversity. And so there's a lot of good biblical allegory in this, like I said, that's going to be relatable to others in their faith walk. So again, I can't recommend enough. I mean, the plot points, we got dragons, epic, summarize my bullet points. Dragons, epic fantasy adventures, strong character development and growth, Christian non-magical fantasy, found family, action-packed sequences balanced with emotional depth, vivid world building, faith, friendship, and courage is displayed in this. Engaging and well-crafted plot and an emotional roller coaster. If you want to know when I cried, I think y'all know if you've read this, but it was chapter 17 and 18 and then 24. Those were some very hard-hitting chapters, but they were so good. The story itself was so good. I was just like, what? I was like, I was kidding. So yeah, there's a lot of other points where I had some tears and stuff, but those are some very intense chapters of things that happened. So yeah, I highly recommend this series. Start with book 1, please. You have to read this in order. You can't just start here. But I'm excited to get to book 3. So, and this was for the prompt of Howdy Partner, a book featuring friendship or family. So obviously I gave this 5 stars if I didn't say that. Woo! That'll do it. That'll do it, honey. That will do it. Okay. I think I got everything. I hope I did. I've been looking at my blog and my reviews. That's how I keep track. Otherwise, I would forget a book entirely. So, yeah. Let me know what you read for the Southern Charm Readathon. All the good things. If you've read any of these books. Do any of these sound interesting to you? All that stuff. Let's chat below in the comments as usual. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for those who participated again. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye, y'all.